For Max Verstappen, the 2025 season has started the way last year ended, which is not great. The Dutchman doesn't have the car to consistently fight for victories and can only win sporadically. On the long term, this is not a sustainable situation for someone like Verstappen, who demands the very best from himself, but also from his team. So, what happens if he decides to leave Red Bull? Well, in today's GPFans Special, we're diving into the options. The race weekend in Bahrain was one of many in recent months, counting back to last year, where Red Bull Racing far underperformed its expectations. We do have to add that Bahrain accentuates the RB21's weaknesses. Those weaknesses are tire degradation and keeping down tire temperatures. That's why Verstappen and Yuki Tsunoda were often seen sliding about Bahrain like it was Mario Kart, plus Verstappen had his brakes replaced pre-race, plus the pit stops were far off the mark on Sunday, making things go from bad to worse. We know Red Bull's problems by now, but how about the solutions for them? According to Christian Horner, the 60-year-old wind tunnel Red Bull still use hampers the team quite a bit. The team principal does have faith in the engineers to turn things around, but according to TheRace.com, the team's only solved about 25% of the issues from last year's car. Dr. Helmut Marko hopes that the updates coming at Imola will jumpstart their season, although correlation has been an issue at Red Bull, so it remains to be seen how many gains the team can actually make. After Bahrain, Red Bull had a crisis meeting, their second one in a couple of weeks' time. The first one was after the Chinese Grand Prix regarding Liam Lawson, who was eventually replaced by Tsunoda. When that happened, Verstappen already flagged that the car was the issue rather than the drivers next to him. But what if those improvements never come and Verstappen is not able to fight for the title this year? Well, according to the Daily Mail, Verstappen can activate an exit clause in his contract this summer should he be outside of the top 3 in the driver standings. Should he do this, and what other options are there? Well, so far, Verstappen's been loyal to Red Bull, stating he feels right at home at the team despite the downward spiral they are in. It's not a secret that Mercedes have tried to pry Verstappen away from Red Bull last year. But the situation looked a lot different during that time. Of course, Mercedes had to replace the departing Lewis Hamilton and turn to Verstappen as his successor. It didn't materialize, and now George Russell and Kimi Antonelli have struck up a decent partnership so far, although both drivers are on expiring contracts. Should Verstappen be available, would Mercedes still want him, and whose place would he take if they do? Mercedes seem to be on the way back to their form from last decade and are tipped to make a leap next year. Insiders report the Mercedes power unit is the best one for 2026 when the regulations change, as was the case in 2014, of course. The same goes for the other team Verstappen is often linked with, Aston Martin. Lawrence Stroll's side have heavily invested in recent years in facilities like the new wind tunnel in Silverstone that will be operational for next year. Adrian Newey and Honda have also been acquired, meaning Aston are also in good shape to make a leap next year. There are still a lot of question marks, however, like whether Honda can produce a rocket of a power unit or not, and whether Newey can still design a contender. Then there's Ferrari, although there is little chance of the Scuderia actually going for Verstappen. Charles Leclerc is the team's chosen one, while Lewis Hamilton is still in his first season in Italy, granted he's not made the best of starts. Ferrari could opt to go for Verstappen, but they have not shown that they're capable of building a car that can win races throughout a whole year. Fred Vasseur seems to have made Ferrari that bit more consistent, but you have to ask whether their future outlook is better than Red Bull's. Red Bull's current outlook isn't the best. In recent times, they've had key personnel leave like Adrian Newey and Jonathan Wheatley. The team's also changed quite a bit since the founder of the company, Dietrich Mateschitz, passed away back in 2022. Before then, Helmut Marko's role was slightly bigger and Christian Horner could focus more on actual team management. Since Mateschitz passed, Red Bull's Thai shareholders have played a bigger role and Horner's influence has grown. On its own, these are not bad things, but performances have dwindled for a calendar year now. Updates don't always work, and that seems to be Red Bull's problem, the fact that they struggle to improve the car from its base spec. Next year, Red Bull will have its very own power unit, and the most sensible thing for Verstappen would be to wait and see how that performs before he starts looking elsewhere. Those Imola updates we mentioned could be crucial, but so could the new guidelines regarding flexing wings, which take force at the Spanish Grand Prix, which is the 9th race of the 24 this year. If you'd be Max Verstappen's advisor, what would you tell him? Stay put at Red Bull or get out now? Let us know in the comments. Well, that brings us to the end of today's GP Fans Special. I hope you enjoyed, and to see you next time. And as always, thank you so much for watching.